Hey y'all, it's Raizu here, and today we're reacting to Modul Chapter 1 review.
Alright then, Jujutsu Kaisen Part 2, aka Modulo. It's officially released its first chapter on Shonen Jump, and I'll be completely honest with you, it's really good. Like,
I'm
I
hoping
honestly
it's
can't tell
good.
you how nice it was to Jujutsu My Kaisen again. Like, it felt like the damn JJK glory days were repeating themselves. Yeah, people had their doubts, but so far it seems that those who actually decided to try reading it really liked it. No, that's not an invitation for you to comment something horrifically cringe like, well, I read it and I hated it. Yeah, look, your nan loses rap battles to grade 4 curses, alright? I do not care, keep it to yourself. I'll go into a full breakdown in just a sec, but I do want to make it known that this first chapter alone not only completely recontextualizes the final arc of Jujutsu Kaisen, but it genuinely presents some very interesting new themes and storylines. I know many thought that this was a cash grab and that it wouldn't be
I
anything
thought
new
too.
and bring no real
It actually
new
seems like
themes to
it's
the
something
table,
new.
and that Gege was done with Jujutsu Kaisen. However,
And
that's
but Gege is
simply not the
back.
case. Not only
The
did Gege
sequel,
openly state that this series would potentially create
I'm ready for it,
opportunities
man.
for more Jujutsu
JJK was
Kaisen
actually
projects in
amazing. I
the
liked it, one
future,
of my favorite
but he
animes.
also has dedicated himself purely to writing, while another mangaka, who strangely enough goes by Yuji, actually draws it for him.
Oh,
This
he
means
got
Gege
so we
has
got
real passion for the
Yuji.
work that he
That's the
created
writer
and
or the
does
drawer.
genuinely want to do it justice. So no, it's not a cash grab, at least not to Gege. The new story is set a long time after the original with completely new characters and even has great new themes while also tying itself in with the old ones. Okay, I am now just glazing, but I don't care. I love this chapter and I love what this series is looking like it will turn out to be. So, as always, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out the
He's
membership
right.
options, and let's get straight
Like
into
my video
breaking
and
down
subscribe.
Modulo Chapter
And
1.
his too. Aliens.
Okay, I mean, if there's
You
one
know,
thing you probably
the
already
marks
know
look like
about this spin-off
Sukuna.
is that it has aliens. Yep, real Jujutsu aliens that call themselves Samurians. They arrive above Nevada via a spaceship in the year
Year 28.
2086.
Okay.
There are three very important big bossman aliens that are
Yeah,
in
he
some
right. Oh,
fancy
he look like got
spaceship home, and
them
they basically just give us
the
a
same
rundown
pants
of the
Sukuna had
situation.
on.
And yes, one of them looks
On
identical to
Gojo.
Tengen. I know, it's completely crazy. I am totally sure that it's just a coincidence and there is going to be absolutely
So now we
no
got Tengen
significance to
here
that
too.
whatsoever. Yeah, Kenjaku and Tengen were definitely aliens. Okay, as I was saying, the narrator informs us that the ship holds 50,000 alien refugees that are supposedly seeking shelter and have decided that Earth is a potential option for them. Originally, they approached the US because they are the most powerful country in terms of military, but in true USA fashion, they told the illegal aliens to f off instead of pretending to even
America.
care in the slightest. Bossman in the chair then
That's what we
asks
love.
why they've been sent to Japan, to which Mr. Alien, no, that's not his name, explains that Japan has sorcerers with cursed techniques and same powers and blah blah blah. Yeah, the aliens and sorcerers both use cursed energy. Shocker.
Oh,
Apparently, Japan is just meant to handle anything strange like this ever since some treaty was signed following the Culling Games. Later in the chapter,
I
we
mean,
meet Maru, a
hey,
Samurian
they are
alien
pretty
who
strong.
seems like he has been sent to Japan under the pretense that he is a foreign jujutsu sorcerer for the purpose of like assessing how compatible Earth, its people, and its cursed
So
energy
he's a
users are
spy
with themselves,
for the
or
aliens,
something
I
like
guess.
that. I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot more to it, but that's the general gist of it. Now, Maru does tell us that he has a twin brother who he doesn't get on very well with. And from just appearances alone, I'm theorizing that his twin is probably the Samurian we see in the ship at the beginning of the chapter. Now, why do I bring the twin thing up, you ask? Well, you'll find out
That's
soon, but
true.
first we need to introduce the other two main characters. But yeah, in
Yuka.
case you can't tell, I'm 100%, like 100 million% sure that
The I
Maru is the
wasn't the
reincarnation
markings
of
too.
Sukuna, but on the alternate path that he wanted to walk. More on that later, though. I can't get into that right now.
The
It's too
markings
crazy.
just remind me of Sukuna.
So, many decades after
Yuta's
the events of Jujutsu
grandchildren.
Kaisen, Yuta and Maki, yeah, they get old. Now, despite the many questions we all have about how this was even possible with Rika in the equation, it seems they managed to get busy and have
Oh,
kids who grew up
crazy.
and had kids of their own. Yuka and Tsurugi Okotsu. Firstly, it was absolutely beautiful seeing old Yuta and Maki, and yes, I felt like breaking down in tears when they both died of old age within the first
Yeah,
couple of pages.
that was sad.
That definitely caught me off guard. But I kind of appreciate how little we actually see of them as oldies, because I think Gege wants us to move on and focus on the new rather than the old.
The
Which,
new
if you really
sequel.
think about it, is kind of what Gojo and Jujutsu Kaisen was all about. Also, the fact that Maki died before Yuta, and then ever since that day, Yuta's health just started getting worse and worse, is genuinely tragic, but also beautiful for his character. Some people do think that it doesn't make any sense at all for the literal superhuman to die first, but I really don't care. Of course, the only thing that could kill the legendary Yuta Okotsu was heartbreak. God, I love it. I love it and I hate it at the same time, because like, why does Gege think he can just show up out
Got
of
worse
the blue
after
and
Maki
then ruin our
died.
mental health all over again? We had enough of this with
Gege
JJK
loves,
Part 1.
yeah. Gege just
We
loves
don't need this
torturing
again.
us.
Do you know what I mean? Now, secondly, I immediately
All my
fell in
characters
love
dying,
with
down
both
to
of these
me.
new characters,
No
but being a
Brie.
crazed Yuta glazer, it was Yuka that really did it for me. Yuka is Yuta's granddaughter. She really caught my attention, and she is who I'm going to discuss first. Yuka Akotsu is a grandpa's girl through and through. She was, of course, born a sorcerer with cursed energy. She played with her granddad a lot, and she was very heartbroken when he died. I mean, hell, she even grew up and decided to wear the same white uniform outfit thing as Yuta, which is possibly why I immediately like her so much. But what I really like about Yuka is the fact that despite looking up to Yuta and wanting to be like him in pretty much every way, she's actually a lot more like Maki in terms of personality and demeanor. She's loud like Maki, she's hot-tempered like Maki, and she even poses like Maki. In terms of her personality, she really isn't anything like Yuta. Her brother Tsurugi is pretty much the exact opposite. He has little to no cursed energy, just like his grandmother Maki, and Tsurugi is definitely a
So
grandma's
he's gonna
boy,
be
who was even trained
okay.
by her as a kid.
He's
Now,
gonna be more
despite looking up to
physical.
Maki and having the same heavenly restriction, as well as themes of making sacrifices to gain strength, he actually behaves a lot more like Megami and Yuta. His demeanor is quiet like Yuta, sure, but he isn't as timid as Yuta. He is more so kind of edgy and reserved like his uncle Megami. But the way he holds himself all the way down to the way he draws his katana is literally identical to Yuta. I mean, look at this panel. He looks so much like Yuta here, the way he's holding that blade. I really
wanna see
like
what he
this
can do with the
dynamic
katana.
between the Akotsu siblings and how they're basically complete opposites. I think it's
They
really
look like some
neat,
cool
and it's very
siblings.
apparent from this first chapter. Now,
A
what's
good
important
duo.
here is that when Yuka was a child, Yuta gave her his ring and said that it would
Oh,
watch over
promise
and
ring.
protect her until she became a strong Jujutsu sorcerer. However, when Yuta died, Yuka's mother then forced Yuka to give the ring to her brother Tsurugi by order of the Gojo clan, because technically the ring is registered as their property, with Yuta being the clan head and all that baloney. This was because Tsurugi had little to no cursed energy, just like Maki, and the clan thought the ring would be better suited to protecting him. When the ring was originally given to Yuka, Tsurugi actually told Maki that he wanted one, but she then told him that he didn't need it because he was strong, and if anyone would know how strong his abilities are, it's definitely her. What this basically meant is that the Gojo clan's intervention led to an outcome that neither sibling really wanted. Therefore, Yuka's goal was to get stronger and surpass her brother to take the ring back, and her brother wants to get stronger in order for the clan to realize he doesn't need its protection. But the reason he's hanging on to it is because he wants the clan to recognize that by themselves. But according to their teacher, Usami-sensei, they are pretty even in strength by the time they are 16 and 17 respectively. And yes, I did indeed just say Usami, but I'll get to that bit very shortly. It seems like right now they are both grade 2 to 3 level sorcerers due to needing to go on missions with a partner and while being supervised,
Just like
which is
Yuji
how
did.
Maru gets introduced to them, because his job is to supervise and observe them as a foreign Jujutsu sorcerer. Well, a fake foreign Jujutsu sorcerer, but they don't know that.
So Kuna's back.
Okay, one of the main plots of this mini-series looks like it's going to be the
It gotta
continuation
be
of the world
a
discovering
twist on
cursed
my
energy
word,
and
bro. No
wanting to
way.
use it as an energy source plot that we all thought Gege had abandoned back in JJ.
That's the aliens, I
In fact,
think.
we all thought Gege made a load of weird choices towards the end of his manga, as he seemed to be disregarding plot points he set up, and then adding weird new ones, like the new Shadow School information we got in the third to last chapter, and the random mention of a grade 1 sorcerer called Usami in chapter 254. Fortunately, Gege's plan all started to make sense, because that whole USA Cursed Energy natural resource plot is hugely important here. Curse users
US
have been
got
kidnapping Japanese citizens, mainly children because they're easy targets, in order to sell them for massively high prices due to them having more cursed
That's
energy
weird,
than
bruh.
non-Japanese people. Oh, we know how this works, I don't need to explain it to you. The Akotsus and Maru are being tasked with tracking down a curse user who has been kidnapping kids in the area by using a high-level barrier transportation technique. He basically
Macabeo?
keeps the kids moving down a certain route and then grabs them with big-ass freaky hands before transporting them away. Later on, we actually see the curse user use this in a similar way to Minato from Naruto, where he can transport himself using these tags. After some hilarious introductions and interactions between the siblings and the literal alien, who is understandably very confused by literally everything he sees, we get thrown right into the action as Ikid and Tsurugi both get
Right
kidnapped
there.
by the creepy teleportation
Those are
hands.
some
With them
big
being rivals
hands.
and all, Yuka is seemingly unbothered by the fact Tsurugi was
I didn't think
kidnapped
it'd be that
and
big,
wasn't
yo.
really even planning to go and rescue him anytime soon. But I suspect she was also chill because she knew he was strong enough to deal with whatever it was by himself. However, it is Maru's reaction to Yuka's nonchalantness that potentially exposes one of the most shocking and jaw-dropping parts of this entire series. And yeah, it's only chapter 1. If you recall, at the
we
end
got
of Jujutsu Kaisen,
chapter 1 got all
when Sukuna
this.
dies, we see his soul walk down the path that all souls take in the cycle, or at least that's how Mahito explains it. Mahito is expecting Sukuna to be riddled with rage and revenge because of how Yuji Itadori hurt and humiliated him at his end. But to Mahito's and our surprise, Sukuna seemed to embrace the lesson and decided that, should his soul reincarnate as part of the cycle later on, he would choose a different and less cursed path. You will also hopefully remember that Sukuna was originally a
so
twin
that
who ate his
Maru
brother in
could
the
be
womb and hence became
okay.
his cursed and
So
deformed
Maru
self.
is
He
Sukuna.
became a monster that lived by
Maybe.
his own ideals. In his mind, it was everyone else's fault for not being
Like him
strong enough to
reversed.
stop him from taking whatever he wanted. Now, when we saw Maru for the first time in the promotional artwork, there were immediately people out there saying he looked just like Sukuna, with the
Even
weird
me.
face markings and the forehead covering and his hair and all of that. They were saying this was the reincarnation of Sukuna and he would be taking that other path that he talked about, which was a fun and silly idea that I didn't think anyone actually believed would happen, but it is now my belief that Maru actually is exactly this. I feel like Gege all but confirms that Maru is definitely the reincarnation of Sukuna within this chapter. I mean, first there's the appearance, and then there's the fact he has a twin, and then there is the speech he gave Yuka about how she shouldn't take her brother's life for granted, and how she should try to save him. But the most concrete evidence that I have for this theory is when he literally says, word for word, what's wrong with having ideals? If somebody can't live up to my ideals, then I'm the one who gets hurt, not them. Yeah, now this is pretty much the exact opposite of what Sukuna was telling Yuji in chapter 249. Actually, no, it's not pretty much. It is the opposite. It's the exact opposite. There is no way that this is a coincidence. It is all way too deliberate. So yes, I do truly believe that Maru is Sukuna's reincarnated soul, taking a new path, and his problematic brother is likely Wasuki, who's also taking the opposite path to what he did before. It makes me wonder if we will see Maru maybe interact with an old man Yuji Itadori. Maybe Maru will even end up being there when Yuji dies of old age and be told a similar thing to what Wasuki told him on his deathbed. The potential for cool interactions and plot points and themes are genuinely just endless. That's my point here. And so far I am really liking the approach that Gege is taking to writing this. Sure, it definitely will not be everybody's cup of tea because unfortunately it seems Gege has decided to make a manga that you actually need to read in order to enjoy it. Since JJK fans are pretty much incapable of that, I'm sure it will get a lot of criticism. But I honestly don't care because I think it's awesome and I really like it. Anyway, the rest of the chapter is basically just Yuka finding Tsurugi and then them throwing hands with each other as rival siblings do before they all finally acknowledge that there is an evil guy in the room and start fighting the curse user, who then starts teleporting around the place like Minato. Now first of all, Yuka passes Tsurugi his awesome curse tool katana, which he uses to summon forth an immense new shadow style Bato sword drawing ability
with the
that looks
katana.
absolutely incredible in the artwork, and that was definitely taught to him by Kusakabe from Wish, aka Usami Sensei. Yeah, it's probably not the same Usami, it's most likely Usami's son. Yuka then uses her Savage Draw Strike technique, which I kind of have a crazy theory about. I think it could be the Ten Shadows technique, but she's only partially manifesting the dog claws in the same way that Sukuna did with Maharaga's wheel and the elephant's water. But to be honest, that is definitely deserving of its own video. I'm not going into that right now. Maru is then kind of forced to intervene in a last-ditch effort before
he's using his eye now?
third eye to make the dude pass out or literally die. I don't know, it's a bit unclear. And then the chapter just concludes with Tsurugi and Yuka coming to the realization that Maru is in fact an alien and that aliens have come to Earth. Wow, yeah, I mean, I just love this chapter so much. In just one chapter,
they know he's an alien now.
Theories that I want to yap about.
Chapter 2, I want to know what they're going to do about that.
And there even seems like the potential for some cool new lore drops. Not to mention the fact that we may still see some returning characters from the original series, including Mahito, since another curse of humans could be due to be born anytime now.
A new
People
Mahito?
Really want to see old man Yuji versus reincarnated Mahito, but I say give us reincarnated Sukuna versus reincarnated Mahito, and have Maru carry on Yuji's legacy. God, there is so much potential there. The more I talk about it, the more I see it. In only one chapter, we're already completely recontextualizing Jujutsu Kaisen's ending, and in my opinion, it makes the entire thing so much better. From Gege potentially foreshadowing the fact that Sukuna would reincarnate as a literal lost alien during Gojo vs Sukuna, to setting up the USA and the global conflict over cursed energy, and even giving us the seemingly random and irrelevant lore drops of Usami and the new shadow style, it literally all makes sense now. And yes, I am totally gonna glaze myself by saying I called this so many times last year and was called crazy for it. I pointed out all of these things and said it only makes sense if Gege, has a sequel planned. Well, all except the foreshadowing about Sukuna being an alien. That one genuinely blew my mind when I realized there was no way I predicted that. That is actually crazy. Just the more I think about it, it makes my mind... holy yap session.
Yeah,
Like, what a
amen.
video this has been. I'm sorry, I need to just wrap it up now, otherwise I'm never gonna stop. I thought it would
Okay.
only be like 8 minutes
Okay.
long, but nah, I couldn't help but start yapping. It's honestly so good to
That's
be
the
back,
end.
though. I haven't
Hey, that's the end for the chapter 1 of this JJK sequel. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe.